if you could sort of tell me maybe what you started noticing in your daughter that gave you concern, and then how did you discover what was going on?
Prior to the incident happening, she was always happy. She was a jokester, would hang out with her friends, would always go on family outings with us, never really wanted to be in her room. And then we started noticing her spending longer periods of time in her room. She would barely talk to us. She would barely smile. She never wanted to go anywhere with us or her friends. She would spend very long periods in the bathroom. And so, we asked her about it and she said nothing was wrong. We kind of just thought, she was 11 at the time. So it was probably, close to those teenage years. So we thought, she was being a typical teenager. But one night I was in the kitchen. It was around 11:30. It was a school night, and I could see the light from her phone on underneath her bedroom door. And we have rules, and you're not allowed on the phone, after 9 o'clock. So I thought I went in there to see what she was doing, and she had the covers pulled up over her, like up to her nose, basically. And then I could see the phone light from underneath the covers. So I pulled back the covers, and she was naked from the waist down with her phone on, and she was recording. And I grabbed the phone and asked her who she was talking to, what she was doing. And she said, nothing, nobody. We had always, prior to this happening, we had checked her phone. We had checked to see, what internet sites she was visiting. We had checked her text messages, her pictures, but we weren't checking any of the apps that she was on. So I took the phone, back to my bedroom, and I checked the text messages, I checked her pictures, I checked videos. There was nothing. I couldn't find, where she was sending this, what she was doing with it. And then I had noticed the Kick app. And so I looked in there and I just saw message after message and video after video that she was sending videos and pictures to someone that she thought was her own age, that was another little girl.
Tell me a little bit about this app.
So it's called Kick. I honestly didn't know anything about it until this happened. I had never heard of it. So I, started Googling, and it's everywhere. Everything that you look at, it says, it's just a playground for child pornography and predators to be on there. They basically lure them into a chat with just them. There's one large chat room, and then they can lure them into a separate chat room, and they can have one-on-one conversations in there and send videos and send chats and things like that. He was pretty clever. He was sending her live videos of another child about her age. And so, she thought that that was her. Looking through that app, I could tell immediately, specific to their chats, that this was not a child. Just the way that he was engaging with her and talking with her, it wasn't a child. The things that he had asked her to do were things that no 11-year-old should ever be asked to do or even know about.
What did you do at that point, and then how then was he identified as the person on the other end?
So my husband was at work. He works weekends. So I called him and I said, we have a problem. I don't know what to do because now we have images, of child pornography in our possessions. We took them to the police station, and they basically told us, they were so nice to us, but it really killed me that someone else was going to look at this and see, my daughter doing these things, just another person, looking at it. But we knew we had to. And they told us it was a long shot, because knowing now what I know about Kick, they can hide their IP addresses and things like that. So they said it would be a long shot to even be able to find this person. But they were diligent and were able to identify him. We waited for my daughter to get home from school. We waited a couple of days to address it, just because we weren't quite sure how to address it. And thinking back, now knowing what I know, we handled it wrong because, and I think this is important for people to know, we had these rules in place. We had talked to them time and time again about not talking to people you don't know. Don't get on apps. Like, don't talk to people. We had watched Lifetime movies about this. We had watched How to Catch a Predator, and never thought that this would happen to us. So we punished her. We told her, you weren't supposed to be talking to someone you don't know. We explained to her that this wasn't a child. She didn't believe us. We took apart her room because we didn't know, like what else was in there. We didn't know what this person knew about us. So we took apart her room. We basically treated her like a criminal. We handled it completely wrong at first. Later that day, she had taken a thumbtack to her wrist. And so we had to take her to the local hospital and have her checked out. They discharged her home. She was basically, on suicide watch. We took her door off because we didn't know, what she was going to do, but we treated her like a prisoner until, it was a couple days, maybe a week later, we realized, yes, she broke the rule, but what happened to her wasn't her fault. And so we, tried to explain to her again, this person betrayed your trust. And I think it took her a while to really believe that, because she honestly believed, she was already struggling, I think, with her sexuality prior to this. And so, trying to come to terms with that, I think she thought she was having a relationship with this other girl, and finding out it was an adult who, for several months, had conversations and an intimate relationship, she was devastated.
So how far back did it go?
Um, I would say 3 months, a span of 3 months that we know of.
Can you sort of describe how it started? Because I think it's very difficult for people who haven't been in this situation to think about, like, you tell your kids all the time, don't ever send someone a naked picture of yourself or something like that, and you think that they get it.
Yeah.
So if you could describe sort of in the messages you saw, sort of how it got to that point, because it's not like right off the bat this person just was like, send me some naked pictures, right? I mean,
Right.
how did that person sort of groom your daughter into believing that they were another little girl and start sending these images?
They would have normal conversations. Like the conversations at the beginning of the messages were normal. Like it looked like, two preteen girls having a conversation, talking about, stuff that they were interested in, hobbies and things like that. So I think he really took the time to get to know her. This specific person had an education that would allow him to know how to groom her. So I feel like he really could engage with her in a way that she trusted him. And then it just started like, send me a picture of you. I want to see what you look like. And then it would say, and then he would say, how about a little lower? Or, oh, that wasn't a good one. Can you send me one with better light, lower, so that he could see, more of her body? So it started out real simple like that. Not being able to see all of the text messages, because I don't know if they were deleted or if some of them just disappeared after a certain period of time. I don't know for sure. But then it just started to get more and more graphic after that.
One of the things you talked about was your biggest lesson was learning how differently you would have treated your daughter in the beginning of all of this. But you also told me another regret was the non-disclosure agreement that you signed. And why is that such a regret for you?
It's a regret for me. It's bittersweet, I'll say, because this person that did this has a family. And so part of that was driven because you have to have compassion for that person's family. They weren't particularly involved, but at the same time, my biggest concern is our daughter. And looking back, and as far as we've come as a family, I would love to be able to tell, this person being, in St. Louis, and would love to let everyone know what this person did and how this person acted, and, just that it could be a normal person with a family, and let everyone know that that's some of the people that are doing this. Knowing what my daughter was going to need out of what happened to her, I really had no choice but to sign it.
How would you say she is doing now? How would you say your family is doing now? And what has helped you guys the most?
She is not good. She's, I don't want to put this, she's impulsive. Like she snuck out with a couple boys. She snuck out overnight. Her grades are terrible. She's a shell of what she was, like this happy girl that we knew that was full of a sense of humor. We get glimpses of her sometimes, but it's very rarely. She's in individual therapy. We're in family therapy. Our house is locked down. We have alarms on every door, every window, because, we don't know if she's going to sneak out. We don't know if she, would have she doesn't currently have a cell phone. But if she would get access to a cell phone, would this happen again? So we're basically, prisoners in our own home, just terrified of this could happen again. Since we didn't know, how much information she gave this person about where we live and, things like that. So you got to be careful about that. It's been a struggle for sure. But I do feel like that we're able to talk to her more openly. about just her feelings about what happened. She doesn't really open up at all about it. I mean, she will rarely talk about it, but it's out in the open. And I think that's a benefit because I couldn't imagine her living with that secret for so long. So I guess the good thing that came out of it is it's out in the open and she can talk about it if she wants to, and we can provide those resources for her.
As far as his prison sentence goes, 11 years is a lot, but I mean, as a parent, I'm sure you'd like to see him go away for life. What are your thoughts as far as the system goes? Do you feel like justice was served, or do you think the laws need to be stricter? There needs to be more prison time, or are you okay with how it all turned out?
I am not okay with how it turned out. I am thankful that 11 years is what he got because it's something. And it's a year for every year that he took from her childhood. So I try to look at it like that and spin it that way. She was 11 at the time. I'm like, okay, he got 11 years. That's how old she was. But is it enough? No, I don't think so. I think there were other children involved. I mean, I saw them on the video. He wasn't willing to give up those names. So there's other girls out there that he did this to, and who knows how long this had been going on. So no, I don't think it's enough. I don't like that at the end of his sentencing trial, he was able to go home and wait for a bed in jail or wait for, a specific prison that he wanted to go to. That hit really hard because we had been waiting so long to seek justice for her and just to see him to be able to go home. He had a lot of family support in the community, not only family support, but there were letters written on his behalf that were submitted to the judge at his sentencing from, prominent people in the community. They were teachers, they were doctors, they were past senators, religious affiliates. He had a lot of family support when we were there, and that hit hard as well because, when we were sitting outside the courtroom, all that family support was there, and we could hear them saying, that must be that child's mother. Like, we had done something wrong. She had done something wrong. When really, things were being said like this poor family, they've had to go through this for a year. Well, they weren't referring to us, they were referring to themselves. And we're sitting right there. That was difficult. So no, I don't think 11 years was enough, but I'll take it because like I said, 1 year for every year that he took from her.
Is there anything else that, having gone through this, that you guys as a family and you and your husband talk about that you think the system, if you will, could do better? Would it be heftier prison time? Would it be like, what do you think is lacking out there right now? Or do you think it's adequate?
I think heftier prison sentence, being stricter with these people that are doing this and, have multiple children that they've done it to. And maybe it's not starting with people that have had multiple children they've done this to. Maybe it's starting with the ones that have done it one time and set a precedent for those, so that they think twice about doing it. But I also do want to say that I don't think that mental health is there to treat these people as well, because he's going to be back out in the community in 11 years. What is really in place for his mental health to keep him from doing this again? It was referred to as an addiction all through the sentencing. Oh, he has an addiction. Like my daughter was, a Percocet or a penny slot. She was a human being. Just making sure that if they do get prison time, that they're actually getting that rehabilitation in prison so that when they do come out, they have those coping skills to not do it again. I just think it's so important to have that conversation with your kids, even if you don't have a concern about it, because you don't know what they're doing. Kids are way smarter, I feel like, with electronics than we will ever be. Being a teenager is hard, a lot harder than when I was younger. And just having that dialogue with them to let them know it's okay to come to you if you don't feel comfortable doing something, or if you get into a situation you don't feel comfortable, giving them those education pieces about apps and sending your picture to anybody. Even if you're sending it to someone that's trusted, they can still send it somewhere else. We don't know. Her picture could be everywhere. What she did with her body could be everywhere. So, we don't know. So I think it's just really important to have those conversations and check your kids' phones, check their iPads, check their iPods, check all the things, because you just don't know.
So I really appreciate your time, your courage. I told you yesterday I'm a parent too, and I think what you said too about your regrets as far as how you treated her at first like a criminal is something that is a main message for you. If you could go back in time, what would you have done differently?
I would have went in that room and scooped her up and told her, everything's going to be okay. Asked her why she was doing this, why she thought that she had to go to the internet to have some kind of relationship. Did she not feel comfortable in our house to tell us that she wanted to have a relationship with a girl? I would have just not been so angry with her and not blaming her how I did.
It takes a lot of courage to share this deeply, deeply wounding situation that has happened to your family. I hope that there will be continued recovery for you all and for her especially in all of this.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on this, because I do think it's very important, and we didn't ever think we were going to be those people, and here we are.